Welcome to the channel. I wanted to share with you how I play around in my universe mode. This is probably going to be geared more towards those that are new and don't really know what they're doing. I've been doing this for a while. Still doesn't really mean I know what I'm doing. So we're going to go ahead and load here. First and foremost, the thing that is very important to note is that you only have 3 slots for universe mode. There is classic, where you have the whole sandbox experience. You get to tinker around with every aspect of the show. And then there's superstar mode, where you get to select one superstar and you don't get to make any changes. Which is why I recommend that you start with your default blueprint classic mode. Make all the changes that you want, don't start any matches, and you can swap out from the options between classic and superstar. Even later on, you are able to swap whenever you want. However, you cannot be midweek through a show. Okay? So first things first, classic mode. Always. Load that up, and then you can copy them over to other slots. So you have tonight's show, never mind that. From left to right, my camera's reversed. Let's go to the calendar. So here you can see your shows, Raw and SmackDown. I got rid of NXT, no offense. I have other slots, only so many wrestlers. I'm trying to make my show not too massive. And every month you're going to have, for example, a PLE, a premium live event. I just call them a frickin' pay-per-view. And then here you can go to edit. And unlike the maximum normal amount of matches that you can have, which is 9, you can actually go all the way up to 14. I just rounded it up to 10. And then it includes both my shows that I decided to have, which is Raw and SmackDown. Then you go to the match table, which is going to be unique to that one. And for the most part, and it's going to be very boring for most people, I get rid of anything that has to do with tag teams because I'm going to save that for another universe mode. And then for rivalries, I have them set on automatic. I have it so that it's a one-on-one false count anywhere. I just love not having to have any rules. And the other ones that are here that are listed, you can just push Y to remove it. And then you can just select it with A or X on a PlayStation controller. And then you can pick like whatever match you want. And I always just do the typical one-on-one false count anywhere match. You can make a championship, whatever. I'm still tinkering around with that. Then you go ahead and you save that. And then you save it here again. And I will go through every single pay-per-view. And the ones that are grayed out, like for NXT, I just remove them. And then you can go all the way to the WrestleMania. And then after that, it tells you that all shows must be done. So that takes care of all your premium live event shows. You don't have to do Raw and SmackDown individually, because that would be like way too long. That's where you go to edit shows here, the next in line, and then you'll see that I only have 15 people on each show, but I can fix that. You can select Raw or SmackDown, for example, and then from here, you can choose your participants, and when you select participants, you can just go through the list. The problem that I have doing it this way is it'll show you who's selected on Monday Night Raw because I selected Raw, but is Andre the Giant on SmackDown? We don't know. And I wish it would show SmackDown, and if there's nothing highlighted on them, then it means they're not highlighted for a show. So we don't know. But if you wanted to remove people from your roster very quickly, then this is by far the quickest way to just go down and be like, okay, you're selected, I want to remove you. Dexter Loomis, you're too creepy, let's get rid of you. You're too old, we want the newer, fresh edge, whatever. So it's good for removing. But if you want to add, I'll show you how to do that in a moment. Then there's a number of matches, like I said, 9, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 is the max. Match table, again, is that same thing that I explained. I like doing one-on-one false count anywhere, 100% chance. Rivalry, one-on-ones, they can happen, false count anywhere. Nothing for the 2v2. Then you can go down to edit championship, right? And so far, I removed like all the other stuff, all the tag team, all the money in the banks, just for now. And you can go ahead and have up to 7 championships slots, so you can just select one here and say, hey, championship match, and what kind of match is it that you want it to be. So you can scroll all the way down, pick your championship. Okay, no problems there. When it comes to adding a money in the bank, I'm not going to lie. Oh, there we go. It cannot be... I just answered my own question. It can't be slot 3, 4, or 5. It's got to be 6 or 7, as you can see. So if you go to slot 6, then you can go and select if you want it to be a money in the bank match. And then after you're done that, you can go to your divisions. And this is where if you're bringing people from other shows or from the community creations and you're like, oh, where's all my people? Oh, that's imbalanced. We've got 7 people contending for that title, but only 2 for there. And if you go to other, those are all the other wrestlers that simply haven't been put in a slot, in a championship division slot. And if you don't, and you leave them there, they will never see the light of day for a title match. Okay? So that's where you would simply, let's say you want to add more people here. Well, you follow the prompt all the way to the bottom left to edit the division. And you can see where Cody Rhodes is already champion. Oh my god. Where he's already in line for the WWE Championship. He's championing himself for the championship belt. My goodness. But you could select him and then it'll obviously unmove him from the prior one because you can only have one title that you're going for each individual character. And as you go down, see these people, they're not in a slot. So you can just pick them here and it'll add them to the appropriate division that you want. So that's how I play around with that. You can also play around with rankings, you know, who's on top, who's the number 1 in line, who's number 2. I don't usually play around with that too much myself. And then go ahead and make sure you save. So that's that for the divisions. And then the power rankings, I already talked to you about that for the power rankings. So now we're done. So that's like your show. Rinse and repeat for any other shows that you might have, including SmackDown. Now, when it comes to my universe, this is what's really cool. There's the rivalries page, which I am not touching. You can have 4 on each show, so 4 for Raw, 4 for SmackDown. I don't touch those because championships, that's just if you just want to view all your champions right away, or the championship belts right away, and you can see who's associated with each one, if there is, in fact, a superstar associated with one of them. Let's go to options. This is where you would go to switch between classic and superstar mode. Curation menu appearance. That's how often you want to be asked by Triple H if you want to be a part of something like a championship match or whatever. Automatic rivalries. I left it on because I don't want tag teams in this universe or anybody breaking up or getting together. I have it on off. Crowd reaction. Changing. Sure, if they want to change their reaction. Injuries on, entrance on. This is all up to you. These are all the default settings. Universe tutorials on. And if you want to reset your universe completely. But this is where you want to come in the options of classic mode once you're ready to go to superstar mode and you've made all the necessary changes to your world. That's where you would come ahead and do that. For tag teams, I don't want any tag teams, so there's literally no tag teams in here. That doesn't mean that you can't have people accompany you to the ring, aka managers. Now let's get into it. Now I only have 15 people on each show, and I want a little bit more than that. This is where I like going to superstars, and what's fun about superstars, if you look right next to his right shoulder there, near the tricep, it says that he's on Raw. You can see his enemies, people that are likely to potentially interfere in matches and stuff like that. And if you don't want him to go there, you can just edit it. So let's go to AJ Styles right away. We can go ahead and edit a plethora of changes if we want. We can go to his attributes, drop everything down if you're doing superstar mode with just AJ Styles, let's say, and you want to make an extra challenge for yourself, which is actually something I actually normally do. I don't want, let's say, these enemies here. I don't want Omos in there, for example. So we would go like this. We make sure that he's on Raw. We can have him so he's on both shows if you want, but I prefer not to do that. And then again, make sure you select save. Here it's going to ask you if you also want it on the regular roster, so it's going to behave the same way where Omos is no longer his enemy, that kind of stuff. If you added a manager to AJ Styles, do you want him to also be a part of roster? If you have the other 2 active universe modes, you can select to copy those settings over to your other universe modes. Okay, then you save, then you're done. And you just go down. Maybe we'll add him to one show. And you can just see Nobody here is added. Nobody here is added. Oh, Raw. Okay, perfect. And this is like where right now I'm perfectly balanced between Raw and SmackDown. I think I have 15 on each side. So I can just kind of go down and be like, okay, who do I want to add next? Maybe I want to add Big Boss Man or Bianca Belair. So then I would add her to, you know, let's say Raw. And then I go down and, okay, let's add him to SmackDown. Let's do Raw. Do you know what I mean? Let's do SmackDown. Or maybe you don't want anybody. But this is the for sure way to see if that person is in fact even on a show and what show they're on. And if they're on both shows, which I believe one of the Usos is still on, I will show you what that looks like. You see how it's flickering next to a shoulder? It's going back and forth, so give it a moment, because sometimes a person by default will be on both shows, and if you want to remove them from one of the shows, again, you would simply just go to that superstar. And then you would just go and unhighlight them. And how you know that they're highlighted is there's that gold ring around the show, by the way. If you select, see this one, there's no gold ring around Raw, even though I have it selected. See the visual difference? It's not really apparent, but whatever. That's how that works, okay? If you didn't want them on two shows. And then you just go up and down the list. Again, you can go... You can go by all, you can go by custom superstars, you can just go by superstars. Overall, you can sort by that, or by champions, or by downloaded superstars. So that's how I go about that. Then I kind of finalize, you know, everything the way that I want. And remember that throughout your journey in your universe mode, if you want to make some additional changes, well, then you just go ahead and do that. But just know that if you do it in the middle of, let's say, a Monday Night Raw or a SmackDown, those effects won't take change until your next week. So if you decided that you don't want to do False Count Anywhere and you want to do TLC for all the matches, don't start wondering how come they're not all TLCs yet. You got to wait until next week till it refreshes, okay? And that's pretty much it. Really, that's literally how I just kind of go around tinkering with my show. 12 minutes, sweet pineapple. Anyways, if you have any further questions, I mean, feel free to ask. I'm not going to claim that I have all the answers here, but I just kind of wanted to give you a little intro as to how I go about sorting out my entire universe mode. And again, I'm going to leave off with this right here. When you go to universe mode, you can just go to continue, which will continue the last of the 3 that you've played. We're going to go to load. We're going to select, and then we're going to, let's say, do copy. And then we're going to go, whatever, you know, to the next one here. And then for a second, I thought it was going to delete it because it went blank. I was like, no! And then this way, it's like if you want another universe mode with sort of like all the same superstars, or for whatever reason, you just may want another one. And especially good here, again, if you want to start now your superstar mode and you're ready to go, you could select this one, go to options, and again, switch. And if at any time you go to switch between classic and superstar and you're like, oh my God, it's not working, don't panic. It's because you're in the middle of a week. You're in the middle of a SmackDown or a Raw show. You gotta wait until you're done, then go back, and then you're able to swap to superstar mode. But here, because we haven't even started the show, we can immediately switch. You don't have to wait and play through an entire week's worth of matches of people you don't care about. Yeah, that's enough, 14 minutes. Anyhow, as always, if you liked the video, go ahead, give it a thumbs up. It does greatly help support the channel with the algorithm. And if you didn't like the video, that's okay. Go ahead, give it a thumbs down. I'll bend it in half, twist it, and I'll break it off in your ass. And if you want to subscribe to the channel, naturally, that would be great. But if not, whatever. Thanks for stopping by anyways. Take care. And maybe I'll see some of you in the next video. Bye for now.